to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome to the February 11th, 2025 regular meeting of the Jackson Township Council. This meeting will now come to order. We will begin with a roll call. Councilman Borelli.
Here.
Councilman Palmieri.
Present.
Councilman Sargent.
Present.
Council Vice President Bernstein.
Here.
Council President Kuhn.
Here.
Also attending tonight is the Business Administrator Wall, Township Attorney Mr. McGuckin, and myself, Township Clerk Sandra Martin. Pursuant to the provision of the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act, adequate notice of this meeting was properly provided or transmitting a notice of the meeting on January 28, 2025 for publication. Notice of this meeting of the Township Council has been posted in the corridor of the municipal building and in the office of the municipal clerk. We will continue with opening comments from the Township Council, starting with Council President Kuhn.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good evening, everyone. As we move through the winter season, I just wanted to take a moment to express how excited I am to be making our way through it. A big thank you to all the hardworking DPW workers and dedicated vendors who have been out there keeping our streets plowed and salted. Your efforts are vital to ensuring that our businesses stay open and that our kids get to school safely every day. With a couple more storms on the horizon, please remember to stay safe on the roads and drive safely. Thank you again. I just wanted to go into, Christian, if you could just put it up. There's a charity event this weekend at the Knights of Columbus for Maddie. They do it every year. It's in memory of Chuck Washington. It's a fundraiser to raise money. If anybody is like, they do it every year in Daytona, again, at the Knights of Columbus. They're also doing a fundraiser where 15% goes to donations to the support at Texas Roadhouse tomorrow between 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. But again, if anybody could go, I know I was just there looking at all the donations. We made a donation, and a couple other people in my plaza made a donation. So it's a great event, and its children are $15, 12 to 17. Kids are free, and adults are $20. I believe you get like a raffle ticket. It really is a great time if anybody wants to go. I'm going to leave my comments short just because of the weather. So thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Council Vice President Bernstein.
Thank you, Clerk Martin. Also, I'm going to be very short. I just really want to take a moment and thank Council President Kuhn. I had the opportunity in sitting in for like 48 hours when she was away, and I see how hard she really works, and I'm happy that she's back. Everyone, thank you. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Councilman Borelli.
Thank you, Clerk Martin. First, petition was started by an anonymous person and being circulated asking area residents to support merging Lakewood, Manchester, Jackson, Toms River, and Brick. Each of these towns are unique and have a rich history. I joined the mayors of Brick and Manchester in opposition to this petition started by an anonymous person. I've been saying in my time in public office, I don't want to see our town turn into and become a city. Merging our town with surrounding towns would not be in the best interest of our fellow residents. It would undermine the independent sovereignty of our municipality. I believe we need to maintain our own town's identity and history. And we're committed as a governing body in addressing the needs and listening to the concerns of all Jackson residents, every Jackson resident, striving to maintain our town and I emphasize our town, a great place to live, work, and raise a family. In closing, the state of New Jersey is coming out in the next few weeks with a new application, which will allow residents to apply for the Anchor, Senior Freeze, and the upcoming Stay NJ program, all with one form called the PAS-1 form. It replaces the previous Senior Freeze forms and Anchor applications for residents 65 and older and those who are receiving Social Security disability benefits. Residents age 65 or older, disabled homeowners, and mobile park homeowners are eligible to use the PAS-1 combined application to apply for the state's property tax relief programs. The Division of Taxation said it will begin mailing PAS-1 forms to about 1 million New Jersey seniors and disabled homeowners in March. Recipients can fill out the paper form or apply online at propertytaxrelief.nj.gov starting this month. More information for our state's property tax relief programs can be found at propertytaxrelief.nj.gov. Also, Clerk Martin and Council President Kuhn, I would like to see if we can get this information, if possible, on our township website and Facebook page for Jackson residents. Thank you. Have a good evening and be safe driving home.
Absolutely, Councilman.
Councilman Palmieri?
I would just like to thank those who came out, those who are watching live streaming. Thank you for staying informed. I was told it started to snow, so for everyone that has to drive, please be cautious. Thank you.
Councilman Sargent?
Good evening. I'd like to thank Giuseppe Palmieri for bringing himself up to speed very quickly with the rest of the council. Thank you for that. And I'd like to thank Nino Borelli for keeping the public aware of all the various events that go on every other weekend. Drive safely and have a good evening.
Madam Clerk, I just want to say, Councilman, just
Yes.
send that to administration because they would be the ones to approve it to get on the website.
Okay.
Thank you.
Will do. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you. We will continue with a presentation by Mr. Charles Cunliffe, engineer of T&M Associates for the Community Development Block Grant for CY 2025 first public hearing. In accordance with the guidelines set forth, the township is required to hold 2 public hearings for the purpose of soliciting ideas and applications. The community would like to see presented to the Ocean County Community Development Block Grant Program for calendar year 2025. This hearing will enable the township to select and prioritize applications for the Ocean County Community Block Grant Program. This first hearing is held tonight on February 11, 2025. The second hearing will be held on February 25th, 2025. After the presentation, if any members of the public has a comment to make on the presentation only, please address the council at the microphone and state your name and address clearly for the record. You'll have 5 minutes and may only speak once.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me tonight. So I'll try to keep it real brief. Community Development Block Grant, it's administered through the county. Jackson, because of our makeup, we're entitled to an award every year. It's historically been around $150,000. Last year was actually $180,000. It goes towards improving existing facilities to make them ADA compliant, barrier free, and the like. This is just the first hearing. We open it up to the public to any suggestions on specific amenities within the town as far as the municipal building, senior center, some of the parks. If there's anything that you would like to see upgraded and it falls under the parameters of this grant, it could be considered, and we can discuss it at the second public hearing. That's all I really have. The public has any questions?
Mr. Cunliffe, thanks for coming, especially on a night like tonight with the weather and all. Where can people send ideas to if they need to reach out to you and your staff?
Certainly they can email administration, but if they also want to send an email to engineering@jacksontownship.net, and we monitor that when we're in office hours 3 times a week. And then, we can obviously review them, make sure we present to the administration and council. The grant award historically has been kind of open-ended and says various improvements at various facilities. So that way, once we get the grant money, we can kind of earmark it towards a specific project. So there's flexibility on the township's end. We don't have to know this specific project, but it just helps us kind of, once we get the money, select the projects. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Councilman? Anyone from the public? Nope. You're good. Thank you, sir.
Seeing no one come forward, make a motion to close. Oh, we got someone.
Donnie Adom, 206 Willow Point. All right, you got this money coming to you. Perfect opportunity to fix the dog park. You could add, basically you can fix the drainage. By doing so, you'll also be able to make it ADA accessible, because as it is right now, people with wheelchairs can't access the park. Simple as that. You could put in a little concrete pad so that this way it would take care of some of those responsibilities, as well as maybe a pathway so that somebody with a wheelchair could travel rather than trying to wheel through sand. And at the same time, you might want to put lighting in for safety, security, and just general use, so that this way anyone in the town, whether it be low, moderate, or high income, can use that park as they see fit. And this way the disabled residents can be a lot safer, or actually use the park as it intended. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Have a great night.
Seeing no one come forward, and make a motion to close public comment on this.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. The next item of business are first readings and introductions for ordinances 01 through 06, 2025. After introduction by title, the ordinances will publish in the Jackson Township Official Newspaper for their final reading and public hearing scheduled during the Township Council's regular meeting on February 25th, 2025. Council President Kuhn, are there any comments on Ordinance 01, 2025?
Yes. So these are, I just want to, for clarity, 01, 02, 03, and 04 were heard and over first reading and approved on our January 14th meeting. We had to redo them because it was not properly advertised. Since then, I'm not going to reread, Madam Clerk, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The only one I'm going to read is the 01-25 because it has been changed. Council has decided to up the fees for first, second, and third offense to $100, $250, and $400 for the fourth offense. So that, for the third, sorry. So that was the only changes that have been made, but we just wanted to make sure to clarify that so that everybody understood it. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Are there any questions or comments by the Township Council?
I'm sorry, Madam Clerk?
Are there any additional questions or comments by the Township Council?
Perhaps if we could, Madam Clerk, before we introduce the ordinances.
Council, could I bring up, just because for scheduling purposes, it came to my attention earlier, I forgot to mention to the council president, there might be a conflict by the next council meeting with multiple members of the council. I want to know about maybe make a motion to reschedule the meeting for Thursday instead of Tuesday. I know it's last minute. Is that?
Well, I've been put on the spot, so.
No, I'm asking for council president if we could examine everyone's calendars and see if we have a quorum for that for Thursday instead.
Can everybody, I know it's last minute and we're on the dais. Change the meeting from the 25th to the 27th. It would be the same time at night. It would just be on a Thursday instead of a Tuesday. There's a conflict with multiple council members' schedule and our legal counsel.
Fine with that
You're good?
date.
You're
Doesn't
good?
work for,
How
Just
everyone
gonna,
else.
so you want to make sure that any advertisements are reflecting,
correct. That's
That's
why
why
I'm
we're
asking
doing
for
it
it now.
tonight.
That's why I'm asking right now.
yeah.
Letting everybody check their calendar. We're good. We have a quorum. Councilman? Good? Yes. So just to make an announcement, our next meeting will be on February 27th due to a conflict of multiple council members, and we wouldn't have had a quorum. So therefore, it will be 6 o'clock if we have executive, 6:30 if we have a meeting, but that's why you guys stopped me for the reading of the ordinances. So for the second reading would be on, again, February 27th at 6:30.
And one more question, if we could just get it updated to the town website tomorrow. So
Yes, absolutely. Madam Clerk, can you just advertise it to all the papers? And if you could put it up on the website tomorrow, first thing, and then we should have, that would be within the 10 days. Thank you, ma'am.
And Madam Clerk, obviously, the language in the ordinances about when the second reading will need to be amended
Thank you.
before, after they're adopted.
Thank you.
Okay.
thank you.
So, thank you. Are we good to, gentlemen? Can we continue? And Madam Clerk, we're good? Okay. So that will be the only changes on Ordinance 01 was changes. The rest of them are the same. So if you want to just go through them, you don't have to ask me to read anything until we get to 05-25.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
May I please have a motion to introduce 01, 2025?
Motion?
Second.
Thank you. Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Palmieri?
Yes.
Councilman Sargent?
Yes.
Council Vice President Bernstein?
Yes.
Council President Kuhn?
Yes.
Motion approved. Thank you. The next item of business is first reading and introduction of ordinance 02, 2025, entitled an ordinance of the Township of Jackson, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, establishing the salary range for all of the various officials and employees of the township for the year 2025 and thereafter. May I have a motion to introduce 02, 2025?
Motion?
Second.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Can we just,
Just finish this vote.
okay, we're going to finish this vote, but Madam Clerk, we have to go back to 01-25. It wasn't read into the record.
Thank you. Ordinance 01, 2025, entitled an ordinance of the Township of Jackson, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 244 of the Jackson Code of the Township of Jackson entitled Land Use and Development Regulations as to amend 244-164 entitled Property Maintenance.
Make a motion?
Second.
Thank you. Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Palmieri?
Yes.
Councilman Sargent?
Yes.
Council Vice President Bernstein?
Yes.
Council President Kuhn?
Yes.
Motion approved. Thank you. The next item of business is first reading and introduction of ordinance 03-2025.
Madam Clerk, I'm sorry. You got to go 02 because we didn't vote on 02. So when we voted on 01, you didn't read it into the record.
So you wanted to go back? I
We just have to,
apologize.
I believe it has to be read into the record and then we vote on it. I just want to make sure that it's clean so that we don't have to redo it again.
Absolutely.
If you
So-
don't mind, I apologize.
No, thank you very much.
No,
So
no,
we're
no,
going to
no
go
worries.
back to 02-2025.
And we're going to read it and then we're going to vote on it and then just go to 03, 04. And then when you come back to 05, I'll read the summary into the record.
Thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you, ma'am.
First reading and introduction of ordinance 02-2025, entitled an ordinance of the Township of Jackson, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, establishing the salary range for all of the various officials and employees of the township for the year 2025 and thereafter. May I have an ordinance to introduce 02-2025?
Motion?
Second.
Thank you. Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Palmieri?
Yes.
Councilman Sargent?
Yes.
Council Vice President Bernstein?
Yes.
Council President Kuhn?
Yes.
Thank you. Next item of business is the first reading and introduction of ordinance 03-2025, entitled an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Jackson, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, authorizing the acceptance of a land donation for properties known as Block 104, Lots 29 and Lot 30, as shown on the tax maps of the Township of Jackson, right to Bow Road. May I have a motion to introduce 03-2025?
So
Move.
moved.
Second.
Thank you. Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Palmieri?
Yes.
Councilman Sargent?
Yes.
Council Vice President Bernstein?
Yes.
Council President Kuhn?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion approved. The next item of business is first reading and introduction of ordinance 04-2025, entitled an ordinance of the Township of Jackson, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, establishing Chapter 432 of the Township Code regulating low-speed electric bikes and motorized bicycles. May I have a motion to introduce 04-2025?
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Palmieri?
Yes.
Councilman Sargent?
Yes.
Council Vice President Bernstein?
Yes.
Council President Kuhn?
Yes.
Thank you. The next item is the first reading and introduction of ordinance 05-2025. Council President Kuhn, are there any comments on ordinance 05-2025?
Yes, Madam Clerk. This ordinance would amend the township land use regulations to clarify the requirements for the architectural designs for single-family residential subdivisions. Thank you.
Thank you. First reading and introduction of ordinance 05-2025, an ordinance of the Township of Jackson, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 244 of the Township Code of the Township of Jackson entitled Land Use and Development Regulations, so as to amend 244-168 entitled Design of Single and Two-Family Dwellings. Are there any questions or comments by the Township Council? May I have a motion to introduce 05-2025?
Motion?
Second.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Palmieri?
Yes.
Councilman Sargent?
Yes.
Council Vice President Bernstein?
Yes.
Council President Kuhn?
Yes.
Thank you. The next item of business is first reading and introduction of ordinance 06-2025. Council President Kuhn, are there any comments on ordinance 06-2025?
Yes, ma'am. So this was a request from our Traffic Safety Bureau. We've done this ordinance before, but there was some towns, municipal roads that had to be actually implemented into the ordinance for, because they're not allowed to tow. So this would allow trucks, cars, anything to be towed that are illegally parked. The parking will be marked with proper identification to know that it is a no park zone and it is a towing zone.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments by the Township Council? May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 06-2025?
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. Councilman Borelli,
Yes.
Councilman Palmieri,
Yes.
Councilman Sargent,
Yes.
Council Vice President Bernstein,
Yes.
Council President Kuhn.
Yes.
Motion approved. Thank you. The next item of business is the payment and authorization of bills and claims. I would like to note the following abstentions. Councilman Borelli, NJM 06, STA 76, and TRE 12. And
Yes.
Council President Kuhn, RCS 02. Are there any questions or comments by the Township Council? Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the bills and claims with abstentions noted?
Motion?
Second.
Thank you. Councilman Borelli,
No to those mentioned by Clerk Martin, yes to the rest on there.
thank you. Councilman Palmieri,
Yes.
Councilman Sargent,
Yes.
Council Vice President Bernstein,
Yes.
Council President Kuhn.
No to the one abstention. No to the one abstention and yes to the rest.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda listed for tonight's consideration of Resolutions 64 through 71, 2025, originally listed for consideration on the January 14th council meeting agenda, but are being relisted tonight due to a publication error, and Resolutions 95 through 104, 2025, listed by title. Are there any questions or comments by the Township Council?
I would, I would like to welcome the appointment of our new Clerk 1 to the clerk's office, and I wish him well. I've met the young gentleman. I interviewed him first before our new clerk came. Very bright young man, and he is super excited to be working in the clerk's office, and we're happy to have him.
Any additional comments? May I have a motion to authorize the consent agenda, Resolutions 64 through 71, 2025, and Resolutions 95 through 104, 2025?
Motion?
Second.
Thank you. Councilman Borelli,
Yes.
Councilman Palmieri,
Yes.
Councilman Sargent,
Yes.
Council Vice President Bernstein,
Yes.
Council President Kuhn.
Yes.
Thank you. Are there any additional items or comments prior to public comment by the Township Council?
No, ma'am.
At this time, if any member of the public has any comments to make, please address the council at the microphone and state your name and address clearly for the record. You will have 5 minutes and may only speak once.
David Visconti, Whitesville Road, Jackson Township. Speaking as a resident, not as an employee of the Code Enforcement Office. I'm a resident here for 42 years. Been employed with Code Enforcement for 8.5. I took the job not because I had to, but because I wanted it. I guess my father died when I was 11. I was the oldest of 6. I sort of have this protective nature, okay? That's why I joined the military. That's why I became a police officer. I protect the victims and prosecute the predators, okay? I am speaking, I'm sorry, I have to be specific. I'm speaking in regards to, sorry, 1 second here. Amendment 01-2025.
The property maintenance
Yes, the
ordinance, sir?
Property maintenance one, yeah.
Yes, sir.
The reduction in fines is not going to be conducive to keeping this town clean and orderly. Council President Kuhn, can you tell me what prompted this interest in reducing the fines? Why do you feel it was necessary? I'm asking you a question.
I know, I'm letting you speak, sir.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm letting you speak.
I'm asking you a question.
I'm going to let you speak for your 5 minutes and then I'll answer. I'll write down any of your questions.
Okay. It's my understanding that this new procedure requires a notice of violation, no response, then they get a summons. Many months down the road, they might get a $100 fine. The second time, we do it again, notice of violation, summons issued, months down the road, second violation, second potential fine. Then another notice of violation, the third summons. All of this has to be done in the same calendar year. It seems like we're wiping the noses of property owners who don't know how to cut their grass. Okay, it's burdensome and unnecessary. I'm also hearing rumors that you have decided that it's necessary to audit the various departments in the township.
That's not a rumor, sir. That's true.
Okay, starting with code enforcement. It appears that you're targeting because you've received criticism regarding this amendment. I also hear a rumor that you're going after 2 of the employees of code enforcement specifically. Okay, so I would like you to comment on that rumor also. This procedure is very burdensome to the system. Normally, people don't get a notice of violation until the grass is probably in the area 2 feet high. So this whole thing seems to, you're trying to fix something that isn't broken, in my personal opinion. Okay. And I think that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. I'd love to answer you. So I'm going to answer your questions. I don't want to go back and forth. I just want to answer your questions. And if you want to come back to the next council member or email me, I'm more than happy as a resident to me. Just want to let you know, I am going to go, I do have your records as a code enforcement because you are for code enforcement. Want to answer that. And yes, we did ask, as I publicly had said, for I can't get much louder. So I did ask for an investigation looking into code enforcement. And yes, we did put that to the administration. That was approved and that will be starting, I believe, on March 11th. Also, in regards to code enforcement, in regards to the 9 code enforcement officers, all the violations since 2018, you have 579 pages of violations. Your superior, Andrew Cheney, has 1,314. Jose Rivera has 1,420 pages of violations. So I'm looking at, this is a problem. How in the same time, in the same years that you've been employed, that they've been employed, that the numbers are so different. We have other code enforcement officers that have 229 pages. So we're looking at numbers. I can tell you the amount of I guess, violations that have been written. So I think it's a department problem. It's not a council problem. Council is seeing the problem and looking in. Last time you were here, you had said that your neighbor, you had a problem with your neighbor. You're a code enforcement officer, as far as I believe. Your name is on this sheet, so therefore you are employed with the Township of Jackson, and you can write a violation to your neighbor. The last thing that you had said, your rumors, I don't answer rumors. I answer facts. You ask me a question. If I can give you an answer, I'll answer you. I'm not going to sit here and go over rumors and fake book and what you've read on there. That's not what we're about. Thank you, sir. Have a great night.
Jim Seleckia, Harfield Drive. Tonight I want to talk about the ordinance that was introduced 0225, the salary ranges. I've spent my entire life working in treasury departments of publicly traded companies. I understand the concept of salary ranges. I've dealt with them as I've managed people. I'm not sure I understand how Jackson handles salary ranges. Last year, we introduced an ordinance with the salary ranges and the increase between 4 and 20%, I think. And now we're back again this year, updating salary ranges, which a salary range should last longer than a year. It's not supposed to be used so that when you have certain individuals making the maximum amount in their salary range, in order for them to get a salary increase the next year, to all of a sudden increase the salary ranges. That's not the way the salary ranges were designed. They're supposed to be ranges so that people maneuver through their career in those numbers, and that if they reach it towards the max, the goal should be that they're on to the next level in whatever their career trajectory is, not just increasing it because we put certain individuals at the max. I just don't understand it, so I'd love to hear the concept behind why it's being changed year after year. I understand it may be an ordinance to publish a range every year. That's fine. Doesn't mean it has to change every year. Okay? Second part of the ordinance, I understand it says it's being effective 2019. Is that correct in the ordinance?
That's probably a typo, sir. I don't think
You
so.
talk about the salary ordinance?
Yeah.
He said it's 2019.
Hold on one second. Can you stop the clock for a second?
Can you stop the clock, Christian, just for a second?
I just want to read this.
Yeah, I saw that in there too.
You did?
Where?
Thanks for letting me know.
I saw,
I
yeah.
was,
You know
I
I'm
was on
going
a
to
ship.
find
I
these
had to find
things,
them.
okay? Although I got to credit some other people.
Told me account.
Yes, it's for the, it is a typo. It says 2019. I apologize. Madam Clerk, Ordinance 02-2025 in Section 2, it does state for the calendar year of 2019.
It should be the calendar year 2025.
So we're
Thank
not
you, I'll
going
note
back
that.
and backdating everybody's pay.
I can never go on vacation again. I'm just kidding.
Whoops. my
Thank you,
bad.
though. I appreciate that.
Also, in the chart, just to kind of give you a heads up, I think if you're a police lieutenant, you may want to be concerned about the range that's written on here. If you look at the police lieutenants on the second page, his 25 maximum is $535.62. Not sure he wants to be paid just that.
They have a separate contract, but thank you, sir.
Well, it's, you
but
have it. You have it.
Any
on
other
the-
questions before I get your first one answered?
No, yeah.
That's good. So we're just going to answer your question. We're just going to be, just because of the weather, I want everybody to get their
I
time,
get
but I don't want to be. Mr. Wall, would you mind answering his first question, or is that something you'd be open to doing?
Of course, Council President. Thank you for the question. The salary range is just that, a range. It's required by law. Jackson is actually more compliant than, frankly, most towns in the state that don't adhere to regularly publishing by ordinance their ranges. They're required. I'm presuming, although without looking at it deeper, that might be that the Excel column need to pull out a little bit in regard to that item you're pointing out. Many of the ranges change due to contractual provisions, as an example. So you're compliant, so you're falling within a range. Some ranges don't change. Some are, you may see a wide delta where there may be folks that fall into a part-time versus a full-time, that kind of thing. There are many contractual arrangements that have steps. The PBA SOA as an example, they do have that kind of progression, as you referenced, that they go through a range over time. I forget exactly what you said, and there are steps in various not all of them, but various contracts. But basically, it's comporting with the law. We stay consistent with it, and we do try to make sure that the range from year to year that we're staying within it. Many municipalities are paying outside a range. The state is not as active as clamping down on that, but we update it regularly. We've occasionally updated it mid-year, depending on perhaps the council may ratify and approve a new labor agreement, as an example. And so we would make sure that that's addressed. So I hope that answers some of your questions.
I would also add, unlike many municipalities, Jackson's ranges are much tighter than other towns. For instance, you could have a DPW worker with a range from in some towns, 35,000 to 95,000. That's not the way Jackson does it. They're very particular as to what the range is for each employee, for each title, and they don't have large ranges. They're set, and anybody who's subject to a contract, for instance, would fit within that, usually for a couple of years. But I think the ranges, if you had larger ranges, the public would not know that their salaries are being adjusted because they wouldn't change them for 5 years. And so that's one of the benefits of doing it this way. That's the truth.
But
Thank
if
you.
they're not making the maximum, you would never know what their salary change is anyway.
Well, you would know what the maximum is, but if the maximum was 110,000 and somebody's making 60, nobody would know the difference.
Right.
And
No,
if
I
they
agree.
left the range there, you wouldn't know that they got a raise to 70. And therefore, that's one of the reasons you do it fairly often. Some towns do it more than others. Jackson keeps the range tighter and does it more often.
I can tell you in the public sector, we don't change ranges that quickly.
I know, sir. I'm getting used to that.
I worked for a company for 16 years. and
Sir, I
they
appreciate
changed
it.
3 times.
Thank you, sir.
So this,
Thank you.
this doesn't make any sense.
Eleanor Hannum, Jackson, New Jersey. I'm here to just put on the record of how is it? How is it that we once again are writing land use changes? Ordinance 125, giving this facade, it's all about cutting grass. This is not all about cutting grass. This is for the benefit of developers. Because if you read the ordinance, it has to do with the improvements. It has to do with the finishing. It has to do with their site plans and finishing their site plans. So who is this actually for? The other issue with this is the ordinance that was cited was the first offense is $75, second, $150, third, $300. I believe Ms. Kuhn here turned around and said it's $400, so that's inaccurate. But if my dog should poop somewhere and I forget to pick it up, I'm going to get $500 fine and/or jail. Littering is a $1,000 fine and/or jail. If I have livestock and my fence breaks, that's a $500 fine. So who is this actually being done for? It's being done for the developers. It's being done for the landlords. It is not being done for the people of Jackson. And the people of Jackson should wake up and be aware of what is happening. Because not only that one, Ordinance 525, you're taking out and destroying the character of Jackson. Who is this being done for? You're taking out subsection B. That has to do with the design plans. So who are you doing it for? You're doing it for your developer friends. I also want to note the fact that all the other land use ordinances that were changed, 1323, 424, 924, 1324, 1724, 2024, 2124, 2424, 3424, and 3524, all changed our land use ordinances to benefit the developers. I would like to also address or ask, how is that? How is it that under our form of government, the duties of the council president is as follows? You proceed over meetings. You preserve order and decorum at the meeting. You state every question coming before council, announce the decisions of the council, decide all questions of order, appoint all special committees, sign all ordinances or resolutions, sign the minutes, and sign the bills. Nowhere in here do I see that you have any jurisdiction over the employees of this town, in which I know are leaving in droves because of the hostile work environment this council is putting on the people. And I know that firsthand. That's why they're quitting. That's why they're leaving. You are destroying their quality of life, thus destroying our quality of life. You have absolutely no jurisdiction to audit any of our departments. That would be Mr. Wall's job. That would be under our mayor's position, not the council president. That is not your job. I would also like to know, how is it that the January 23rd special council meeting is still not posted on our website? I'd also like to know, how is it that the council president violated the law by acting as the town clerk and bypassing the town clerk and putting public notice in the Asbury Park Press? That is illegal. I would also like to know, how is it that we have two council members who are intimately involved in a relationship, one as a prior employee, one who is engaging in a PAC, is actually engaging in the solution of a lawsuit that you actually created by trying to take land, and then once that person did not sell because nobody really checked, allegedly, and that person doesn't want to sell, then you tried to do the eminent domain. Little did you know and did not understand the law when it comes to eminent domain. You can't do it for personal use of that person. But Ms. Kuhn here is a prior employee of Mordecai Eichhorn. Morty Bernstein here has engaged in a PAC, a political action committee, where he actively raises money for.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a great night. Drive safe.
I will, you too.
All right. See you again.
Anyone else? That was fun. Charles.
Make a quick comment. Because the council meeting was moved from the 25th to the 27th, the second public hearing for the CDBG will be on the 27th, so I'm just announcing it. And then
Thank
the
you, sir.
clerk will have to renotice.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The clerk will do notice, right?
Yes, the clerk will do.
Seeing no one else come forward,
Oh,
make
yeah,
a
not
motion
me.
to close public comment.
Touche.
Second.
Roll call. All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Motion closed.
Motion to close.
Motion?
Motion. All in,
Yes,
yeah.
thank you.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And any opposed? Have a good night.